Well, we told you about how the Iranians aren't budging on moving any of that massive uranium-enriched stockpile of theirs. Word is the administration could live with that as long as the Iranians let weapons inspectors, well, keep tabs on that stockpile. To Ohio Republican Senator Rob Portman, who remembers the North Koreans promising us the same access until they suddenly did not. The senator with me now. Here we go again. I have a sneaking feeling, right?
Yeah, not only that, but the North Koreans actually kicked out the UN inspectors, the same inspectors now who would be monitoring this stockpile in Iran. And frankly, if you look at what's happened just in the last year with, again, these same inspectors and how Iran has thwarted their efforts to effectively monitor what's going on now and look at the militarization part of their program, it doesn't bode well.
You know what I think? You're the expert here, but I'm looking, if they have all this stockpile of stuff and we're claiming they can't do anything with it, we're going to keep a close eye on it to make sure they're not doing anything with it. How do we know? How do we know?
Well, better to get it out of the country and to allow them, if they'd like to use
well, they're saying no to that.
Their nuclear weapons program for peaceful means, in other words, have nuclear power. The Russians can provide that stockpile to them. We can provide it. We have lots of enriched uranium here in this country. We're happy to provide it, and we've done this with other countries. We've said, don't go down this road of enriching your own uranium. We'll provide it to you.
So the fact that they are not going that route and insistent that they're not going to go that route, is it made it, or do we do a 180 on saying, okay?
Well, we shouldn't do the 180 because it's an indication of the fact that, they don't intend to use this lowly enriched uranium for peaceful purposes. Rather, they want to have that stockpile there to potentially enrich it further and use it for other purposes. That's the big concern. They also, as you know, have a heavy water facility with plutonium that's only used for nuclear weapons. So all the indications are that they're really not willing to make the kinds of concessions they should be willing to make if they indeed are not going to pursue nuclear weapons.
But time is on their side, because the more we jawbone back and forth, deal, no deal, whatever, it's not like Iraq in 1980 where Israel could take out the nuclear installation. Now the talk is it's all over the place. They don't know all the places, right?
And we do know that there is an underground facility that's well fortified, and the question is whether centrifuges can continue to operate there. The leaks from the talks indicate that that might be, again, a concession they're not willing to make, and that concerns us a lot because it's a hardened facility. Look, I think we need to see two things. One, we need to see an enforceable agreement. That means monitoring, and you've stated that well. But second, it means enforceability in terms of us being able to apply sanctions if, in fact, they don't permit the monitoring. There needs to be some consequence. And then second, we've got to be sure that they can't, be a threshold nuclear power. In other words, be able to get right up to that point of just taking a year or less to be able to become nuclear, because if that happens...
But they can do all this without checking with you, right?
Well,
without checking with Congress.
You've got to have the monitors in place. In terms of Congress, that's a whole other issue. If this agreement's going to last sort of the test of time, of course it should come to Congress. Otherwise, it's this administration.
But what if it doesn't?
19 months from now,
sanctions be lifted as Iran wants, without Congress involved in that part of it?
There's some things the president can do administratively. That's true. But over the long haul, you've got to have Congress. Congress uniquely can impose sanctions, remove sanctions. This requires legislation. So, of course, the Congress should be involved. And by the way, there's a bipartisan concern here. This is not just Republicans. You have presidents of both parties and
367 representatives, over 100 Democrats.
Presidents of both parties have come to Congress with these kinds of agreements, and it's not always easy to deal with Congress, but it's the right thing to do. And again, that will give this agreement this longevity that it needs, rather than being just for the time period of the Obama administration. So I hope he will come to Congress. I think you're likely to see legislation being introduced that'll be bipartisan that asks for that.